Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Dialogue. Okay, now in today's dialogue, let's talk about encounters. Let's talk about remission. Let's talk about FIRs. Let's talk about police. Let's go beyond political lines and party lines and political interference, all those things. Let's talk technical. What is remission? What is encounter? How exactly police refuse to take FIRs and give and file an FIR, and even cases like the wrestlers in Delhi. How can police not just take their FIRs? So let's try and understand it from a police perspective. I have a very special guest with me. I have Mr. D Sivanandan, former Director General of Police Maharashtra, former Commissioner of Police Mumbai. I have Mr. Sivanandan. Let us ask him what exactly does a remission, encounter mean, and why don't cops file FIRs? Sir, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm having the pleasure to talk to you after quite some time, sir. It's been quite a long gap, isn't it?
Thanks a lot, Sujit. Talking to you always is a pleasure. I never feel it is being recorded. I always feel that we are chatting with one to one in an open with an open heart. That's the kind of feeling I get when I speak to you always. Thank you. Thank you for taking me. Thank you for taking me on your show.
Sir, the feeling is mutual, sir. Sir, I want to start with a few things that we've been hearing in the last couple of months. Few terms that is disturbing. A few things that has happened that is also kind of disturbing. And a lot of people would like to know technically what is right and what is wrong. Now, and that's precisely why I thought I will talk to you, sir, because I wanted to go beyond all political lines and, and I want to understand this technically. Sir, the first thing I want to understand is about encounters. And who better than you to talk about encounters?
Encounter is completely the wrong way. I fully subscribe to this theory that encounter is not envisaged in the law. This word encounter is nowhere mentioned anywhere in the law. It is just a girl and a boy meeting in a park and sparks flying is an encounter. In the same way, when a criminal and a policeman meet each other and when they start firing at each other is considered encounter. This word encounter and the other circumstances have been glamorized by the Bollywood and the Bombay media and the Indian media in the late few years. Otherwise, in the law, what is mentioned or what is prescribed is exceptions, 96 to 100, 102 sections there in IPC, where section 100 specifically says under what circumstances either me or you, both civilians, can go to the extent of protecting anybody's life or modesty or the property, and under what circumstances they can go to the extent of taking the life of the criminal to protect the life of yourself or the other person standing by your side. This is the law. And particularly when it comes to women, where to what extent one can go and save their honor and protect them from various things happening. So that is section 100 of the Indian Penal Code. That is a right of private defense. No encounter has ever been mentioned. All these things people are quoting are from the Mumbai encounter petition filed by Abu Azmi and the lawyer Sebastian in the year 1997 against the alleged killing of one Javed Fauda. But then the Mumbai High Court, consisting of Justice Ranjana Desai, who had become later Supreme Court Justice, she and one more judge gave a hearing and said all the alleged killings were not fake encounters, and they gave guidance as to what are the steps to be taken in case there is a incident where a criminal has been shot or a police has been shot and things like that. So between you and me, in an encounter, even policemen can be shot dead. That's also an encounter. I told you encounter is not a word used in the law. In the legal lexicon, it is not there. It is all used, glamorized by the media and the press and the cinema wallas and others. So, under the circumstances, the same judgment was reviewed in appeal by Justice R.M. Lodha in the Supreme Court, and he gave the same guidelines to the whole country. It is a Mumbai encounter cases only.
A lot of people in the society says that, listen, you know what, since law takes its own course and it takes time and justice is never given on time, justice delayed is justice denied and all of that, therefore, encounter possibly is a solution, is an option for that. What is your take on that?
As far as the UP encounter of this so-called boy, this 19-year-old boy Asad is concerned, it is a 183rd in a series of encounters happening in a short period of 5 years or so. So encounter has been happening in a series way, like a serial. Whereas in other places like Mumbai, encounter has never happened from 1920. 2001, 2002 onwards, there is never an encounter. Neither a criminal has shot anybody dead, nor the police have shot anybody dead. So now the encounter is limited to only perhaps UP and maybe one odd place, rare place in India. Now, this particular encounter has happened as a part of a series of activities by the UP police. Now, the same thing that the boys came and they shot and we shot and they were dead and things like that, about which perhaps there is a inquiry on various other things as per law, as per the Supreme Court guidance they have appointed. The SDM, subdivisional magistrate, will inquire into that and various other things they have said. All that will happen, and I'm sure police will get a clean sheet and it will also be forgotten. So this is what is an encounter all about. But the main thing I want to emphasize is, even though everyone says all the encounters is false, shortcut, and the judicial system takes long time and all that, that apart, I would really like to ask you and others, in case there is a real situation where the enemy, either from Pakistan or from India or from gangs, shoot at a policeman, what does he do? Innocently, he dies to prove that I can't do an encounter because Sivanandan said encounter is wrong. That's not the policy. The policy is right of private defense is given to an ordinary citizen. A young college-going girl can take out any weapon, lethal or non-lethal, from her possession and prevent a person from assaulting her modesty or trying to rape her or trying to kidnap her and things like that. That all is given in section 100 of the Indian Penal Code. So, if that is it, there can be a genuine place where a policeman has to protect. And between you and me, Sujit, all the criminals are not as well trained as policemen in shooting. And perhaps in an anticipated situation, the policemen do wear bulletproof jackets and helmets and things like that. They do have access to better weapons and better trainings and all that. So this question as to why policemen are not getting killed is because they are well trained and they anticipated, they had intelligence and all that. But what I was trying to say is there are situations where policemen have been killed in Mumbai. Or, for example, that Batla encounter where the Sharma inspector was shot dead by the criminals. So there are situations where we cannot tell people, you become cannon fodder. As a chief of police, anybody cannot say, just to prove our innocence, let us get killed. It is not possible. That can't be done. And between a criminal and a policeman, my choice is let a criminal get killed. Because he's a criminal, he's a weapon-wielding criminal, he has killed many. In Mumbai, for example, those criminals have been killing people in dozens, many of them were known to you. So after this kind of I will say again, if you give me time, in Mumbai, encounters did not solve the issue. What solved the issue was 1,600 man-years of detention of criminals in 3 years. That solved the problem. We recovered 2,500 illegal weapons from gangsters in 3 years. That solved the problem. Bringing a new law called Maharashtra Organized Crime Control Act, that solved the problem. So this is what has solved the problem. But what created trouble for the so-called encounter specialist is the attention given by media and the publicity given by the Bollywood and media and others.
The percentage of encounters, the percentage of cases where the police actually fired to protect him or herself versus fired to kill the criminal, what could be the percentage according to your understanding?
100%, because all encounters earlier or later, as per the directions, have been inquired into by the local magistrate, subdivisional magistrate, or courts, inquiry commissions, and various others. And wherever, Sujit, where wrong encounters or wrong things were done, they were treated as murders. Believe me that. That Sajanar, what happened to Commissioner of Police Sajanar in Hyderabad? That is Supreme Court committee consisting of Justice Shirpurkar and Mr. Karthikeyan, the IPS officer, and another justice called Rekha, Mrs. Rekha Baldota, said that it is a murder, and they are undergoing that process of going through the murder investigation. Then, in various, for example, Lakan Bhaiya murder in Mumbai, that guys have been convicted. 21 people out of 22 accused were convicted in that so-called encounter turned to be a murder. So there have been lots and lots of cases where the so-called encounters have been proved as murders and the policemen have been convicted. So now let us divide that where inquiries have been proved to be right on the side of the police, they got away with it, and where it was proved otherwise, they have been incarcerated. So that is it. So 100% encounters have been proved to be right because that have been gone through by a judicial magistrate or a executive magistrate as per law. And wherever it was wrong, they have been convicted.
Every criminal in Uttar Pradesh attempts to kill the cop. 183 encounters in 5 years means every criminal out there has been attempting to kill the police officer.
But Sujit, I'm not giving you just a hackneyed kind of a reply. But in Jammu Kashmir, every time 5 army men or policemen are dying, what about that? Is there also the enemy, whoever it is, whether it's a criminal or a terrorist or an infiltrator, every day policemen. What happened to the other day in Dantewada, where 11 policemen were blown to pieces? Now, all that has to be counted also. In UP, let us not focus only on UP. Let us focus on the country. Policemen are losing lives in dozens. In J&K, 2 days before in Dantewada, a few years before when I was DIG of Gadchiroli area, 77 CRPF men were killed in an ambush. That's the highest ever after 1947, where the police forces were killed in such a big number.
I absolutely agree to you, sir. And it is indeed, the brave policeman who stands with their minimal weaponry. We have seen that in Mumbai. Sir, I am in no way saying that policemen's life are not important. Absolutely not. No one says that. In fact, absolutely no. But the fact remains that also encounters, if it's used as a methodology of doling out justice, then how fair is that? Is my only question, sir. Sir, let's go ahead.
Sujit, partly I would like to agree with you. The politicians saying that this is a policy, that we will do this to the criminals, and that is followed by stringent action by the police of the particular state, is a different state altogether. That is what you are talking about. And I am talking about generally what's happening everywhere and what is law and where they are right and where they are wrong. Wherever they are wrong, they have been convicted. A recent example is the Hyderabad Sajanar example.
Ashraf Ahmed and Atique Ahmed were shot dead in police custody. Sir, I want to know your professional opinion. What went wrong there? Was that
what went wrong? Actually, officially will be inquired by the commission of inquiry which they have appointed. So let us wait for them. Unofficially speaking, without major facts in our hands, that guy need not have been taken at 10:30 in the night for a mandatory medical exam. That could have been done next day morning. Or the doctor could have been called to wherever this man was incarcerated. There the medical examination could have been done. And of course the press, how will the press know that at 10:30 a criminal is being taken? And how did the criminals know that the press is going to get out them with their mics thrust on their faces? All these things are showing a needle of suspicion. So professionally speaking, if I were the officer in charge of the situation, I could have avoided 100% avoided where the man, the sovereign protection is given to a criminal under the government, sovereign government is given protection that he will not be dead. That cannot be violated by letting these things happen when he is in our custody. So in that case, inquiry commission is there. So I may not be able to jump the gun and give you a concluding remark as to what went wrong. But by and large, for a bystander, for a people who have been reading newspaper, these are the things which has happened. Mandatory checking at 10:30 in the night. So that is not appropriate. The doctor could have been called and doctor could have checked them there. And then who informed the press? And how did the killers, 3 of them, who gave them the weapons? Who gave them the training? Weapons is 21 lakhs put together, 3 into 7, 21 lakhs. So all these things are a matter of inquiry. I'm sure the government has appointed an inquiry commission. They will inquire and find out and tell us the truth one day.
Remission. Sir, we've heard this word quite recently. A lot of us heard this word quite recently while this existed in India. It started with Bilkis Bano case, and now we are talking about Anand Mohan Singh's case in Bihar. Remission. Sir, what exactly is remission? Does that mean that if the government wants, they can just pick up anybody and set them free, pick up a criminal and ask them to go? Is that how it works, sir? What exactly is remission?
Normally it should not work like that, but practically that is what is happening. By and large, we all say that show me the man, I'll show you the rule. So in Bilkis Bano case or in other cases, besides remission, Sujit, we should also find out how the favored boys have been given continuous parole. There is a Swamiji, a guru of Ludhiana, Jalandhar. He is continuously on a parole whenever there is an election. And he comes there and he does vote catching and things like that. So even these guys, if we analyze how many total number of days amounting to years they were set free in the name of parole, is another matter of study we must do. We don't know about Anand Mohan, but we know about the other case which you mentioned. Those guys, almost about 5 years or so, they were out on parole for good conduct and various other things. But your question, whether these things happen to every common man, the answer is no. There are thousands of innocent criminals who are poverty-stricken, who have got bail, but they don't know that they got bail. Who got bail, they know that they were on bail, but they don't have enough money or enough sureties to come there and release them on bail. They are languishing in jail. And no system. But again, to answer your question, in all these cases which you mentioned, perhaps the jail manual has been altered recently to enable these guys to get out of that in good behavior and in remission. Of course, from British time and later, independent India, for Mahatma Gandhi Jayanti and all that, certain criminals used to be released for good behavior and all that. Very many people like Sanjay Dutt and various others also for good behavior, their sentencing was reduced. These are all mentioned in the prison manual. But what, if it is proved right, is not appropriate, is that prison manual being changed or altered or changed, as per convenience, so that a particular individual can come out in remission. So that is what is disturbing the people actually. So the manual has to remain the same. I can't alter and tweak the law to suit. But to answer your question, the government does have the power of exercising this authority and giving remission to people. For example, very many cases in Mumbai also, wherever the government felt convenient, the government used its authority and sent people from their prison terms. I hope I am making it very clear. This is an inherent provision given in the CRPC, 433, 432A and things like that. But then in CRPC, certain sections can be amended by the state government also. So how the government of Bihar handled this and how the government of Bihar changed the prison manual recently so that this man, certain things cannot be applied retrospectively. Even in this case of Bilkis Bano release, the guys, 11 people, certain things were applied retrospectively. But then That is the art of governance, where my people, my lord, my justice, and people get certain benefits and come out. That's it.
This remission thing is not something that has happened recently. It has been there for a long time, and a lot of government has used this to set criminals free. Is that what you're saying, sir?
Absolutely, absolutely. It is nothing new. It is not a recently invented. Nobody, you can cross-check with any other officer also. This section 432, 432 and 433 and various other sections have been there from 1860. So governments used wherever, historic figures, when they were to be released or arrested and all that, these sections were used by the pre-independent government also, and later whatever CRPC, IPC, Evidence Act we adopted, that also has that. But when it happened to smaller people, we didn't bother about it. When it happened to criminals who are involved in Bilkis Bano case or Anand Mohan and people like that, we are getting agitated.
So, sir, are we therefore saying, and sorry, I may sound cliched, and this is a layman asking, sir. Sir, are there different laws for different people, powerful and influential and rich people, certain one set of CRPC, poor, powerless people, other set of CRPC? Is that how it actually is working, sir?
Speaking in an utopian world, Sujit, the law is the same for everybody. For the donkey, ours, everyone, it is the same. But when it comes to practical things, I want to quote George Orwell. In his book, he said, in this animal form, the book's title is Animal Farm. He says, in this animal farm, all animals are equal, but certain animals are more than equal. That's what he starts the book with. So in our society, in this animal form called modern governance, all animals are equal. The law, majesty of law should apply to everybody, is a utopian theory. It is a utopian theory. And there are, I told you, thousands and lakhs of people languishing in jail with a bail or without a bail and without anybody supporting them. The system doesn't support. They're there. So, but then nobody is bothered about them. But about these kind of people, they get continuous parole and continuous good behavior, and suddenly at an appropriate time, they get a remission. So, but as far as the law is concerned, the law is clear. Government is entitled to give this one, remission. Yes.
Sir, as an officer of law and somebody who has spent his entire life guarding it, sir, tell me, what is your feeling when you heard about Bilkis Banu's rapist murderers being set free under remission law?
You know, Bilkis Bano case or this Anand Mohan case or anywhere, we feel absolutely appalled as to how these things can be done like that. So, as a citizen of this country, I feel absolutely pathetic that how the laws can be tweaked and these guys can be given any benefit and they can be given any remission. Is it?
My last question, sir, for the day. Yeah. My last question for the day, sir. Those young girls in Delhi, those young wrestlers in Delhi are fighting for their rights. Even after the court order, the police had not taken their FIRs. The FIRs have been taken today. So today they filed the FIRs, but yet a copy of the FIRs is still not given to those young girls. Is it that easy for a police officer just not to take an FIR? And such an important case, such a well publicized case.
It is not easy, Sujit. If the people are politically connected, if something had happened to a member of parliament or his son or his family, how fast the police will reach and register a case is very well known to you, right? And the same way, the other thing, if these people who are protesting are party to the ruling elite, then things could have moved very, very fast. Just because the ruling elite are not in favor of them, they have been languishing. What happened in the agriculture, the farmers' agitation, or in this case, is that. So unfortunate that the support from the political parties which are ruling is not there in their favor. But the Supreme Court has to interfere in this case to almost ordering the police to register a case, and that has happened. Copies will be given. As per the Supreme Court order, all cases of this nature which are recorded have to be uploaded in the website, police website within 24 hours. That is the order. Unless it is a treason or waging a war and NIA related cases and things like that, So this FIR should also be available on the website, Delhi Police website, in due course.
Sir,
So,
but then,
in my opinion, that should have been done by the Delhi Police earlier, and inquiry and investigation could have been done. But it did not happen because of the various reasons which are obvious.
sir, with the courts being clogged, like you said, 300 years it will take for us to declog our courts, assuming that no more cases are filed. Sir, a court being blocked, how can one expect court to interfere in each and every such cases, sir? And if FIRs are not filed, then what law and justice system are we following?
You know, there is a Supreme Court order, Lalita Kumari case, where the Supreme Court said, as and when a cognizable case is reported, the police is duty bound to register a case. This is a citation, Lalita Kumari judgment, as they call it, Supreme Court order. But unfortunately, all these orders remain on paper, and when people violate or transgress all these orders, nothing happens to them because of the political support. You know, the Delhi police is reporting to MHA, and MHA's view on these matters would also matter.
Thank you so much for talking to me, sir. As always, it was such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.